I had just left campus, cruising home in my new car with the windows down and music barely playing. Everything felt normal until flashing lights lit up behind me. I pulled over, confused but calm. That's when things spiraled. The officers didn't ask for my license or registration. They told me to step out of the car and accused me of stealing it. I tried to explain it was mine, but they weren't hearing it. Before I knew it, I was on the ground, cuffed and hauled off to the station. I didn't ask for a phone call. I just asked to see the chief, me godfather. They called me a liar and laughed until he walked in, and everything changed in an instant. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so you never miss any of our upcoming stories. Marcus sat in the cold, unwelcoming station, the uncertainty gnawing at him. Why was he being held? His mind raced as he replayed the events in his head. The officers had been so sure and aggressive, but why? With each passing minute, the room's buzzing phones and officers' hurried voices made him more uncomfortable. All he could do was keep asking questions he had no answers for. He hoped someone would tell him what was happening, and soon, Officer Daniels entered the room with an air of superiority, swatting away Marcus's presence with just a glance. His stride was confident, almost arrogant. He barely acknowledged Marcus, focusing instead on his own agenda. Marcus watched him, feeling both invisible and small in the grand scheme of things. Daniels didn't offer a word of explanation, and Marcus wasn't sure whether to break the silence or let it hang heavily between them. Minutes morphed into hours in Marcus's mind as he waited, each tick of the clock stretching time unbearably thin. The reality of his surroundings was relentless, with ringing phones and officers hustling past, oblivious to his predicament. He watched them come and go, none paying him any attention. Feeling both trapped and forgotten, his thoughts were a tangled mess of confusion and frustration. All he wanted was an explanation, or better yet, the chief to set things right. Marcus tried once again to reach out, his voice steady but desperate. "Please, can I see the chief?" he asked the passing officers. Their reactions were cold, indifferent, each one dismissing him as though his words meant nothing. It felt as if he were shouting into a void, his requests echoing back unanswered. Resolved to make his case, Marcus knew he had to keep trying. The chief was his only hope of untangling this mess. Time dragged like a stubborn mule as Marcus sat there, feeling ignored by the officers who barely glanced his way. The disbelief in his situation kept gnawing at him, a constant reminder that he was stuck. More officers passed by, each absorbed in their own world, never pausing to notice him. The door suddenly flew open, and Chief Warren stormed in, bringing a burst of energy that shattered the tense atmosphere. His face shifted from a frown to utter disbelief the moment his eyes met Marcus's. "Marcus, what on earth is happening here?" he exclaimed, his voice filled with a mixture of astonishment and the beginnings of anger. For the first time, Marcus felt a wave of relief, believing that the nightmare might finally come to an end. Marcus exhaled deeply, locking eyes with Chief Warren. "Chief, I've been trying to tell them," he said, his voice edged with fatigue but also renewed hope. Warren's eyes softened with understanding, acknowledging the young man's distress. Officer Daniel stepped forward, attempting to weave a story riddled with inconsistencies. "Sir, it appears this vehicle was flagged as stolen," he began, his words meandering through half-truths and deceptive angles. Marcus listened, bewildered by the concocted narrative that seemed purposefully designed to confuse. He glanced at Chief Warren, hoping the chief saw through the tangled web of lies that Daniels was trying to spin. Chief Warren cut through Daniels' tale sharply, his tone brooking no argument. "Enough. Get those cuffs off him now," he commanded, his words firm and final. Daniels hesitated, but the authority in Warren's voice left no room for debate. Marcus felt the weight of the cuffs vanish and rubbed his wrists, relief flooding through him. At that moment, he knew he wasn't just a suspect. He was being seen and heard once more. As Marcus was released, he sensed the shift in energy. The officers, realizing the gravity of Chief Warren's presence, scrambled to rectify their earlier actions. Marcus watched as the serious demeanor took over the room. They no longer looked smug, but rather concerned, knowing they'd went too far. Marcus's mind raced, relieved and nervous, not knowing what the next steps would be. The room, once stifling, now felt like it might actually bring some answers. Chief Warren pulled Marcus aside, urgency etched on his face. "Talk to me, Marcus. What happened?" he asked softly but firmly. Marcus hesitated, gathering his thoughts. Warren's eyes were filled with a mixture of care and urgency, pressing Marcus to get to the heart of the matter. Taking a deep breath, Marcus started recounting the day's events. "I was just driving home when they pulled me over," he explained. "They didn't ask for my ID, just pulled me out, saying the car was stolen." He pointed out how Daniels had seemed more interested in the car than in following protocol. Warren listened intently, scribbling down notes, his expression a mingling of disbelief and concern at the officer's questionable behavior. Chief Warren felt an intense mix of anger and protectiveness surge within him. "This stops now," he vowed, determination hardening his tone. He was resolved to sort this mess quickly. Marcus had been through enough, and Warren knew he had to set things straight. Officer Reed walked in during the exchange, his eyes darting between Marcus and Warren. He stood silently, absorbing the tension in the room. Marcus sensed Reed's eyes, but his focus remained on Warren's promise to fix the situation. Reed's presence added an undercurrent of unease to the moment. Marcus felt a confusing mix of emotions swirling within him, grateful for Warren's intervention, yet still lingering frustration at the whole ordeal. "I appreciate the help, Chief, but they shouldn't have done it in the first place," he said, his voice firm but still carrying the weight of the day's unfair treatment. Chief Warren turned to Officer Reed, a tone of authority in his voice. "Reed, I want you to take Marcus's statement. Make sure it's accurate," he instructed. Reed nodded, gestures careful and compliant. "Right away, Chief," Reed replied, taking out his notebook. Marcus watched, feeling a sense of validation finally taking place. This was his moment to be heard properly, and he hoped Reed would document every detail carefully. Regaining his composure, Marcus started to recount his story to Reed. "I didn't do anything wrong," he began, speaking more calmly now. He detailed the events, the flashes of lights, how the officer seemed more interested in the car. He emphasized the unfair feeling of the entire experience. Marcus's voice was steady, knowing this was his chance to set the record straight. Reed listened, pen moving swiftly, capturing Marcus's words with precision. While Marcus spoke, Warren excused himself to step into the hallway. It was clear he was preparing to confront Officer Daniels without delay. As he moved away, he left behind a trail of anticipation in the room. An unspoken promise to Marcus that justice would follow. Warren was ready to take on Daniels, determined to right the day's wrongs. Officer Reed continued to focus intently on Marcus, jotting everything down as he spoke. Occasionally, he'd pause, nodding for clarification. "So, they didn't give you a reason?" Reed asked, his pen poised. Marcus shook his head. "No, nothing legitimate, just accusations." Reed's brows furrowed slightly, taking it all in. The seriousness with which Reed documented Marcus's experience was reassuring. Marcus looked around the busy station, feeling like a spectator in a play. Officers hustled about, ignoring the tension brewing. It was as if they were oblivious to his plight. Each passing officer seemed wrapped up in their own world. Reed placed his pen down, nodding at Marcus. "Got it all," he said. Just as he finished, Chief Warren returned, determination etched on his face. "Time to handle this," Warren said, his voice a mix of anger and focus. Chief Warren began making calls, snapping at a string of officers to gather the dashcam footage. "Let's see what this footage says," Warren remarked, eyeing Marcus with a look that promised thorough investigation. As officers scuttled to comply, Marcus felt a wave of anxiety mixed with hope. "Do you think they'll find anything?" Marcus asked Reed, who was still nearby. Reed shrugged, trying to reassure him. "If it's there, the footage will show it," Reed said. Officer Daniels strolled by, looking far less smug than he had earlier. Marcus noticed Warren watching Daniels closely, suspicion clear in his gaze. Daniels tried to put on a brave face, but the air was thick with tension. "Better watch yourself, Daniels," Warren said, his voice carrying a warning. Daniels simply nodded, the cockiness from before now replaced with a wary, cautious demeanor. Marcus felt his spirits lift slightly. Maybe this was the moment where truth would finally come to light. "Feels like something's happening," Marcus whispered to himself. Marcus stared outside, the looming presence of campus life calling him back. "I have to go," he told Warren. Warren nodded. "Don't worry, Marcus. You'll be the first to know," he promised. With a reluctant nod, Marcus turned to leave, the weight of the morning's events heavy on his shoulders. Returning to class seemed trivial but necessary. Chief Warren stood by the door, determination etched in his face. "I'll keep you posted," Warren promised as Marcus made his exit. His voice carried the weight of conviction. Marcus nodded, grateful for the chief's earnestness. Exiting, the corridor felt longer than before. Each step was a reminder of the unresolved chaos, yet also of the promise of truth. He needed to trust that Warren's words would soon become reality. Marcus burst into his dorm, startling his friends. "You won't believe the day I've had," he exclaimed. His friends gathered, offering supportive murmurs. Marcus relayed the crazy events, emotions tumbling out like a flood. They listened intently, frowning in understanding and anger. "How could they?" one friend exclaimed. Their solidarity felt like a comfort, grounding Marcus in the familiar chaos of friendship and shared outrage. Even in class, Marcus couldn't shake off what happened. The teacher's words faded in and out as his mind drifted back to the flashing lights and harsh accusations. It seemed like school was suddenly the least important thing on his mind. Marcus gets a call from Chief Warren, who says the investigation is ongoing. Though there are no clear answers yet, Marcus feels relieved knowing progress is being made. He later gets a call from Officer Reed, who asks Marcus to recount everything that happened. Marcus cooperates, hoping it helps the case move forward. After school, Marcus meets Chief Warren at a quiet cafe. Warren reveals that Officer Daniels is under internal investigation for misuse of force, and Marcus isn't the only one who's spoken up. This news gives Marcus a sense of hope that the truth may come out and justice might finally be served. Back at the station, Officer Reed shares that some officers were suspiciously discussing Marcus's car, reinforcing Marcus's belief that his appearance played a role in how he was treated. Despite the waiting, Marcus begins to trust the system might actually work this time. Marcus learns from Officer Reed that other officers had joked about his Ferrari, adding insult to the day's earlier injustices. Frustrated but composed, Marcus reasserts his right to his car, and Reed promises to dig deeper into the situation. Meanwhile, Officer Daniels becomes visibly unsettled as rumors about the investigation spread, his unease confirming Marcus's suspicions. Marcus hopes the case will expose broader misconduct, not just clear his name. Reed agrees, calling their actions a spark for change. Tension builds as Daniels is called into a private meeting with Chief Warren, suggesting major consequences may be near. Later, Reed tells Marcus to stay patient as changes begin unfolding in the department. The biggest development: Chief Warren brings in outside investigators, giving Marcus renewed hope that justice might finally be served. The station filled with outside investigators, creating tension among officers, especially Daniels, whose past began to surface through whispers. Inside, Marcus clung to hope while sipping coffee, encouraged by Reed's steady optimism. A call from lawyer Kelly brought new energy. She believed in the case and was ready to dig deep. Together, Marcus and Kelly strategized, building a strong case for justice. Meanwhile, Reed reported to Chief Warren that Daniels' story didn't match the surveillance footage. This crucial contradiction strengthened the investigation. Back in his dorm, Marcus struggled to focus on schoolwork, the weight of the case constantly tugging at him. Meanwhile, Chief Warren, now fully armed with evidence, resolved to root out the corruption. In a final confrontation, Warren demanded Daniels come clean, making it clear that evasion was no longer an option. The pressure was on and the truth was closing in. At the station, the investigation intensified. Even the commissioner got involved, with files rechecked and leads chased. Reed, now fully engaged, asked Marcus for updates and showed new dedication to justice, which gave Marcus hope for change within the system. Though still managing school, Marcus drew strength from Chief Warren's persistence. Over coffee, Reed confirmed Warren's steady push forward. Then, Marcus received a pivotal call. Warren announced that the tapes clearly exposed Daniels framing him. The truth was undeniable. Daniels and Reed became the focus of disciplinary action. Daniels admitted they were caught. Investigators acted swiftly, and Marcus watched as justice finally took shape. Both officers were removed from duty, and Warren confirmed the win to Marcus. As Marcus left the station, he felt lighter, proud of the truth prevailing. With school still ahead, he carried the lesson forward, committed to integrity and determined to stay vigilant. The future, at last, looked hopeful. Thank you for watching. If you like this story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscription, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming story.